crank snapper, so
yeah. It's not a here's the power curve going straight up.
All right, so it's currently Friday, just clocked off work, 5:30, and already ripping into it. Got the bonnet off already, just about to take the intercooler off, and a few other little bits and pieces. And yeah, pretty much get straight into it. So we've just gone ahead and taken off the intercooler and the intake pipe, and tell you what, this looks really clean without a top mount intercooler on it. It's a bit of motivation to go front mount if I could fit it in there behind the high mount. But shows off that nice gold top. So next, probably going to take in the radiator out, set the power steering pump off to the side. Well, everything else should be able to stay on it, and yeah, we'll keep going. So after removing the radiator, everything else upstairs, we moved on to underneath the car, taking the starter motor out. There's little tags that bolt from the side of the block to the bell housing, take them off too, and then a few more bell housing bolts around it, a couple of engine mounts you'd have to get from up top, and it was looking pretty promising to come out the same night, only a few hours after starting work on. Obviously this isn't my first rodeo, I've done plenty in the past through work. And would you look at that, it is ready to come out. It's actually coming out. You will see the jack on the left hand side. That's just to support the bell housing to get the right angle. And also a handy tip is to use a pry bar and sort of try and break that seal. A lot of four-wheel drives have it siliconed from the bell housing to the engine, like mine was. It was an absolute pain in the butt, but obviously we got there in the end. Alright, so after battling with it for about 3-4 hours, a bit of laughing, a bit of chit chat in between and whatnot, a couple of breaks, came out. It was a bit of a struggle to get it off the input shaft and break the silicon, because a lot of people silicon the bell housing just to stop mud and whatever getting in there. But this is the damage of the clutch. So it's a bit hard to see, turn the light off. You see all the hot spot marks in the flywheel. It's definitely been getting hot, and all the cracks through the flywheel too. If you take a look at the clutch, it did have a little bit of life left in it. So what you look for is those rivets there. When they wear down to the rivets, that's pretty much their life gone. They're pretty close to it, but the whole thing's just been getting hot. And then if you look at the diaphragm, there's a good lip on that. You can even see it on the camera. The issue I was having mainly was the clutch wasn't disengaging enough, so it would grind trying to find reverse and whatnot, because it actually just wouldn't disengage the gear. But the direct clutch should help that issue a lot and handle about 800 newton meters, which is plenty for what I need. It's definitely looking a bit sad in there. Gives that bell housing a good wipe out, clean all the clutch material. Rear main still seems pretty good, but while you're here, you might as well replace it. Clean off all the silicon, and yeah, that's it for day one. Alright, so started day two. Obviously, as you would have seen, the engine's already out. So the aim for today is to put the new pump on, time all that. I'll show you guys some tricks for timing it and actually getting the gear off. Rear main as well, clutch, flywheel, and hopefully back in today. If not, it will be tomorrow. Let's get into it. So after you got that cover off, do note there is two longer bolts there for going up here, and these two. And also with those two longer bolts, what you can do is when you get this off, it's on a taper, so the pump is tapered and keywayed. And you see that thread there, you don't have to worry about getting a puller and pulling off these two to get the injector pump gear off. All you got to do is put those two long bolts in, just tighten them up evenly, and it pops it off. So what I like to do is, before you pull the old gear off, there's two ZZs there, there's one Z on that gear. Basically they've got to line up, and that's how you do your timing there. Now that's sort of the first stage of timing, and then you go into your timing, which is rotating the pump around too, which we'll get to that. Right, so moving around the back, you're going to take all your injector pump lines off. You got to work from outside in because obviously you can't get to the ones that are in the back yet. So I take all them off, then take this little 12mm off here. It is optional, but you can also take them off at the top of the injector just so you can move them right out the way when you have to time it. Alright, with all the lines out of the way, I ended up taking them off at the injectors just so they're a little bit looser. Ready to take off 2 mounts that mount it back to the block. Don't forget your little return hose that goes to your spill rail as well, and if there is a boost line going to it, don't forget that too. But yeah, keep going on. So then with those 3 nuts taken off, bang, she's out, and ready to show you what's in store. The issue is I've got it on the bench. It is a UFI 11mm 200 horsepower pump. I've been known to be capable up to 250, but I just think there's no point in going past 200 in my opinion. So when you get it, you got to swap over a few little brackets and whatnot. Obviously the bracket that goes back to your block, start stop solenoid as well, and your throttle linkage, this little one here that goes all the way down. Yeah, other than that, they're pretty similar. This line here, this fuel line here, that is a return, I'm pretty sure, is smaller on the UFI for some reason. I don't know if someone can tell me in the comments why that is, but my one is a whole lot bigger, and I've seen it on a couple of other factory GQs, even 10mm. But yeah, apart from that, start swapping some stuff over. Alright, and just like that, the injector pump's all ready to go. As you can see, I've marked all the bolts, everything that I've touched. It's all marked. It's good practice to get into is to mark everything just in case something vibrates loose, as you would have seen in my diff rebuild video. But yeah, time to throw this on, get it all timed up. Alright, so the pump's on there. I've got 3 nuts just nipped up enough to where you can still rotate the pump. Let you know why in a minute. But first step after you get that is to put the injector pump gear back on and line up the Z. So there's one Z there that I've just put an orange mark on. There's 2 there. That one mark obviously has to go in between the 2 on this gear. If you do have any troubles with it, so what I do is I try the gear on and say it's a little bit out, so it's over there. Take the gear back off, turn the engine around a little bit, sit it back on and just try and make it meet up in the middle. So taking it on and off a couple times, we got it all lined up. That is dead in the middle of both of those marks. Looks a bit off because they're helical cut gears. That actually isn't a straight cut gear, it's kind of turned like that, if that makes sense. But I use a little bit of Loctite on this, not too much, just for a bit of peace of mind. It is tapered anyway, so you don't need to. Alright, so I've got the tool screwed into the back of the pump now. I had to take the engine mount off just to get it in the spot. So basically that's just touching there, zeroed out on that one, and TDC has been set there. Zs are all lined up. If you have a GQ, there's 2 marks on a GQ balancer. You put it on the second mark and the first mark is over there. So first time going around, you just sort of generally set it up in the middle. It went all around to about 0.9. The requirement for this pump is 0.65 to 0.75. So what I've done just then is, so where it stopped about there, I've then just rotated the pump and set it around to about 0.7, and then I'll put it back at TDC, zero the gauge out, and it should come out somewhere around 0.7. So there you go, after a little bit of mucking around, we've got it just before 0.7, so I'd say it's about 0.68. They were calling between 0.65 to 0.75, so it's just below what would be in between. So next, take that off, put the bolt back in with the copper washer. Make sure that's tight or else you'll have a nightmare leak fuel. Make sure all 3 of these are tight, and then you can nip up your bracket underneath. Now the injector lines are all tight. This bolt here actually goes through to a water gallery, so make sure you use a little bit of sealer when you do this bolt up. So there's no actual seal or gasket for the injector pump cover, so just run around there with a light smear of silicone and tighten all the bolts up by hand, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so we've got the brand new genuine rear main seal here, and the brand new genuine gasket that goes behind it. What I use on the gasket is this called aviation gasket sealer. I use that on all my paper gaskets pretty much. And then you want to use this along the bottom of the sump rail, and if you can lift it up, which I can, just put a little bit in there, it won't hurt. And especially some in the corners here, because the proper way to do this, and when you're building an engine they're designed like that, is you put your rear main on and then bolt your sump up underneath it, but we're not taking the sump off for this. Alright, so it may look like a little bit of a mess, but I went a little bit overboard with the silicone here just to be extra sure about it. It's never a bad thing to have too much silicone. Put a new spigot bush in here, put the flywheel on, torqued all that down to 157 Newton meters. Went around that a couple times, make sure you put Loctite on it. Definitely don't want that coming loose. Now we have it. All the little bolts are torqued up to 23 Newton meters. Clutch should handle about 800 Newton meters of torque, which is plenty. Last but not least, make sure that goes in and out easy, and it's ready to go back in. So it was a little bit of a struggle actually getting it back in, but sigh of relief and a high five, and we're in, we're on the dowels, we're all lined up, bellows and bolts are in, and it's now the assembly time of putting all the pieces back together. Alright, so it's all back together now. Just finished putting the intercooler on. A couple last little fuel lines there. Basically time to fire it up. Probably will take a second just to build fuel pressure up, and then I'll go through and bleed all the injectors. There we have it, it's running, it's back, it's all together. Did have me a little bit worried there for a minute, but you'll see me with the 22mm spanner just cracking all the injector lines and bleeding them. Basically what you do is you just crack the line, squirts out a little bit of diesel and bleeds all the air out of it. So as you can see, the Ute's back on all 4 wheels, on the ground, not on the hoist anymore. Bonnet's on, everything's done. Took it for a quick little rip and she goes a whole lot better. Got to clean up some of that fuel though, it's really sooty. So hopefully Shane at CMS can sort that one out for me. Apart from that, clutch feels amazing. I can actually find gears now without grinding it and whatnot. Yeah, I'll see you guys at the dyno next. Alright, today's Friday. That means dyno day. I'm super excited for it. Barely got any sleep last night. I was so excited. I'm like a kid at Christmas. Anyways, date 18. Let's hit the road. So we got to the dyno and there was no time wasted. It was straight up onto the rollers. Shane hooked it all up and it was basically its first little run to check the AFRs. These next few clips, it was very, very loud inside the dyno room, and you'll be able to tell the camera as well.
made it to the dyno, successful dyno run, and I'm here with
Shane, CMS Performance.
and give us a rundown of what happened. We made 190 horsepower,
Yes.
which is 140 kilowatt.
Yes, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so run it up straight away just to see where it's sort of sitting. Good thing about pumps like this, the UFI pumps, they come set
Pretty
pretty
close,
good from the
yeah,
start.
yeah.
So we ran it up. The only problem we had initially was just not quite enough boost, so playing it safe. Yeah, on the 15 pounds that it sort of came in with, mixtures were down at 15-1 in the top end, so
That's just, there's not enough boost to compensate for the fuel that's going into
yeah,
it.
so we didn't want to roll coal or anything like that. So set the turbo sort of where they are happy, 26 fair side mark for an 18G, and yeah, mixtures are back up 19-1. We had a little bit of, not drama, but wondering why the boost was tapering off in the top end, suspecting it's because of the gate spring, not quite enough pressure on
So
it, basically holding it
starts
shut.
off with about 26,
Yeah,
27
so 26
and
and drops away to sort of 23, which is
Yeah.
not a major problem, but when we're 17-1 in the top end, more boost would have
Yeah,
helped with
yeah.
keeping EGTs down. So
But
yeah.
it's alright, as long as you're not sitting at $4,000 all day, every day, it
Yeah.
should live.
Yeah, exactly. So right in the meat of it, where you're sort of 2,000 to 3,000, it's 9-1. Boost is happy, 26 pounds. Does exactly what it should do. So 454 newton meters, right in the thick of it. It's not a crank snapper, so
Yeah.
the
It's not a, here's the power curve going
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
up, it's a nice.
it's nice. It's exactly what I would have expected for a TD to do. So
Yeah, oh, hopefully it lives long and
yep.
makes power forever.
Yeah, and that 140 kilowatt, almost 200 horsepower
Yeah.
mark is
not setting
pretty
the world on
good on
fire,
there.
but
They're,
it's-
they're good for these.
Yeah.
I try and cap them around that 150 kilowatt mark, and I haven't broken a crank yet. So
Yeah, if you are in the market for getting your TD tuned or anything really, you do everything, don't
yeah,
you?
mechanical diesel, common rail,
Yeah.
petrol,
Even petrol, race
rotary,
cars, everything.
gas,
Yeah.
everything. So
He's the man to see about it.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
No worries.